This is Stars and Scopes with your pal Uma Ruby. Updated every new and full moon with guidance based on planetary transits in the current sky and extra support from tarot. For accuracy, do listen to your rising sign first if you know it, but do feel free to listen to your sun, moon and rising if you'd like the full picture. If you're loving this work and you've got some coins to spare, throw them in the tin over at buymeacoffee.com/Uma Ruby and you can buy me a coffee. Okay, let's drop into it. Hello Taurus and Taurus rising, welcome to your horoscope for the new moon in Gemini happening on May the 30th. Now, we can have a little reprieve here. We can have a little relax, Taurus. I know that the last month potentially may have been quite enlightening for you, quite confronting in some ways. To have the eclipses play out on your 1st and 7th axis does have the potential to be quite destabilizing in terms of the self and how we relate to others. So any changes that you've recognized, any shedding, any growth potentially can be set down for the moment, and we can look forward to a nice, stable, regular, normal new moon that we can manifest with, that we can co-create and call things in with. Okay, so I'm going to get them out of the way. There's one potentially difficult aspect that's happening at the same time as the new moon. Saturn is still in Aquarius at 25 degrees. Saturn, the planet of restriction, of boundaries, of a gag order in some sense. For you, that's your 10th house, your career, your public perception. This time is in a square with Mercury at 26 degrees in Taurus, your 1st house. Mercury is also retrograde at this time. So there might be some wires crossed or miscommunications or misunderstandings that potentially have cropped up with you and the place of life that you consider your career or your public self, what it is that you do for as an act of service for everyone, you know, like your life's work in that way. We can work with this at this new moon because Gemini rules your 2nd house, and you love the 2nd house, Taurus. That's your house. This is the house of material abundance and sensuality and stability and our talents and our ability to turn a coin and bring it forth and regenerate and take care of ourselves and take care of the ones that we love. So this is a great time for you to call it in. Think about what it is that you'd like to be doing for a living. Think about what you'd like your home to look like and how it will operate. Think about all of those sorts of things and talk about them. That's how you express yourself. You know, when I think of Gemini, I think of the chatty Cathy, the one that's always on the phone. So a Taurus expresses themselves through their 2nd house, through their abundance and their access to pleasure. So the tarot card that correlates with 9 degrees of Gemini, which is where the new moon will be, is the 8 of Swords. So I'm thinking that you might have felt trapped in that area lately. There may have been a truth cage that you've sort of felt bound by, things that you couldn't give away or things that were given away to you too much, or a conflict of interests, or perhaps you might be suffering from some kind of anxiety that is sort of keeping you in a position where you'd prefer to be somewhere else. The new moon's going to be a great moment for you to work with this and to manifest change, to get away from this, or move through this rather, move through this 8 of Swords energy. You've got help this time because Jupiter has made a conjunction with Mars in Aries. So Jupiter is our lovely auntie of a planet. She's the one sitting in the front row at all of your gigs or at your sporting events, and she's cheering you on. She's wearing your team colors. Anything that you're into, Jupiter is into. Jupiter just really loves it. And so right now, Jupiter is using that supportive, expansive energy in conjunction with Mars. And Mars is our warrior. Mars charges ahead and moves through. Mars is red. Mars is passion. Mars is fire. So Jupiter is in support of that in Aries. Aries for you is your 12th house of your unconscious realm, your dream state. That's maybe in some ways where you feel most at home, Taurus. I wonder if you feel like a warrior in dreamland, if that's where you really come alive in the unconscious. I wonder if there's any messages in there for you. I wonder if there's things that you're picking up in that liminal space that can be transposed into your second house world, your Taurus world, your material pleasure zone. So the tarot card that correlates with Mars at 4 degrees in Aries is the Two of Wands. And quite literally, the Two of Wands is the Mars in Aries card. It couldn't be happier. The Two of Wands is the card for Mars in Aries. It's the action plan. It's the map. It's the world in the hand, looking out into the future. How are we going to get this done? How are we going to make this work for me? I'm going to charge ahead and I'm going to go out and get what I need. So that is happening for you in dreams. So really use it, really work with that positivity and that exuberance, that expansion. You know, Jupiter's just throwing gas on the fire at the moment for you in the unconscious. I wouldn't fight it, I'd go with it. I really would, particularly because the eclipses are happening in your first house, you know, the house of the soul, the house of the, not the identity, which is our sun sign. The rising sign is the soul purpose. It's the core, the root base of us. So that is the astrology. That's how we can work with this new moon. That's how we can manifest. That's what you'll be manifesting. Really go for it. Really think about abundance. Abundance isn't a dirty word. Like, you don't have to feel any guilt for wanting to have enough. That's one thing to really think about. I don't think you do, because you're a Taurus. But I've pulled a second reading for you as well. So that was the planetary aspects and the traditional cards. I'm using a separate deck, and I've pulled a more intuitive reading to see if we can sew the two together and get some messages from Spirit in this moment. So my base note, back of the deck energy, is the Three of Swords. So this card is a difficult one. This card is what happens to the body, the emotions, when the mind is in a recurring cycle of grief and heartbreak and disappointment. So I'm sorry that this is coming up for you, Taurus. It's okay, it's going to be fine, and it's actually a really workable card because there's lessons in here. You've needed time to process, you've needed time to work through something, some kind of aspect of your life or some kind of disappointment or loss. Something is no longer with you, and that's taken a while to get through, and you've done really well. You've done really well. And in some aspects, that's why maybe things in the second house may have played second fiddle. That's why things in the 10th house in particular, the house of the career, may have played second fiddle, where that Saturn restriction is. So working with this energy is the base note, the Three of Swords. I have the King of Swords, I have Justice, and I have the Five of Wands in reverse. So this is beautiful. There is something about the King of Wands that is a really supportive, strident, truthful energy. The King of Wands is somebody who knows who they are, who has been through it mentally in the air part of our lives, and has come through and now has the lessons and the authority to share with us and tell us how success can be achieved and how healing can be done. I'm painting the tarot at the moment, and my King of Swords is Shan Marshall from Cat Power. That's another story. But if you like her, then Cat's here, Shan's here for you, or that kind of energy. Justice is in the center of this reading. So as far as injustice, as far as that sense of things just not being right, of being dissatisfied, not dissatisfied, that's too light a term, of feeling oppressed, of feeling really heartbroken at something that is terribly unjust and unfair. The King of Swords is in the corner, the right corner of this, helping you through this heartbreak and this injustice. And the Five of Wands is a petty squabble. It's a battle of passions, I guess, a battle of different perspectives and different minds, and starting little fires, and it's quite an annoying sort of energy, the Five of Wands. Upside down goes to show me that this is going to become over. All the petty squabbling, all of the nonsense that you've been trying to deal with or move with the way or from while you're dealing with this big stuff is going to fall away now for you. And you can focus on building yourself from the ground up. You can focus on who it is that you're going to become and what it is that you contribute, and you're going to keep yourself safe, and you're going to have a beautiful home and enough for yourself and for everyone. So that's your reading, Taurus. I am going to leave it here. If you'd like to throw some pennies in the pot, you're most welcome to head over to buymeacoffee.com/Uma Ruby. That's where I accept my tips. And I will be with you again in 2 weeks for the full moon in Sagittarius. Another moment of release, this time one that we have active influence in. Until then, much love, new moon blessings. I'll speak to you soon. Take care.